We're going to start with a repeat caller, Seth in Seattle. Last time Lynnea and I talked to him. Are you there, Seth?
I sure am.
What's up?
Hi. I'm sitting in my car. That's what's up.
Okay.
All right. So, can I start talking?
Oh, yeah, you're on the air?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, just to kind of review for the callers who, or maybe are not callers, but listeners who may not be sure what's going on. Lynnea gave me this challenge, and I have the time stamps if anybody wants to check. She made up this worldview or scenario in which she said, and this is Lynnea saying this, I created the universe by traveling back in time. That was timestamp 1920. This is episode 834. When I asked for proof that she can, she said, I don't need to. That was timestamp 1932.
Also, I'd like to mention that she said that she had also gone back in time and arranged things so that you would call back. And so she was making the prediction that you'd call back. And her prediction has now come true.
Which is a little bit
That
eerie.
is true.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, it's amazing if you didn't believe her claim. But
Right, well, yeah.
I expected it.
But I mean, I know,
Yeah.
Right. And my answer will be more complete. I have, if I can, I wrote this all down, so if I can just rattle it off, it would probably be easiest for you guys, because then you can just respond to the whole thing. So.
Sure.
Okay, but as a repeat caller, I've got a policy of holding you to 10 minutes. So.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Then she said, God cannot lie, timestamp 2030. That's what I said. She said in response, I'm not God, I'm myself, so I can lie. And then my question for her was, what confidence do I have that your claims on the nature of the universe are authoritative? And that's when Lynnea and Russell both said, that's our question for Christianity.
Yep.
Well, I looked through the Bible. There are a few instances in the Bible where miracles of a similar nature to time travel occur. I couldn't find one of actual time travel. Joshua 10, Joshua asks God to make the sun stand still, and God does so. 2 Kings 20, Hezekiah asks for a sign that he will live for 15 years more. The shadow, which I think most commentators agree refers to a sundial, is moved backwards. And in Acts 8, Philip the evangelist is taken away by the Holy Spirit and is transported a distance that I figured out was about 20 miles. So, in principle, I think time travel is possible because God's omnipotent. My response to her would depend on whether she is claiming she built a time machine or whether God miraculously transported her. Recalling C.S. Lewis's quote that miracles are not contradictions or outrages against nature, but nature by itself cannot produce them, I would say that if she says it was by a time machine, I would answer it was impossible under our current understanding of physics. So she's simply not telling the truth.
Yeah, but you don't care about our current... Wait a minute. You don't care about our current understanding of physics if you believe stuff in the Bible.
No, I do care about the current understanding of physics, and I'll address that particular point at the end. A human being acting under the normal operations of nature could not time travel because of this. If she wants to claim it was miraculous, then she runs into the problem that both she and God are claiming to have created the world. But she admitted she can lie while God cannot.
Right.
Now, a distinction at this point needs to be made. There are two different claims that usually go on when atheists argue against a Christian interpretation of science. They are either claiming that Christianity is false because it claims miracles happen and atheists claim miracles cannot happen. Or they ask how a Christian reconciles his belief in miracles with his belief in the uniformity of nature. I want to point out that these are two different claims. I agree that if I'm going to adhere to Christianity and the presupposition that nature is uniform, I have some philosophy of science of homework to do. But this is a different question entirely than responding to the claim that Christianity is false based upon its miracle claims. Now, according to the law of the excluded middle, a statement is either true or it is not. The statement Christianity is true or false. If it is, miracles can't be used as evidence against it because clearly God is capable of performing them. So the only possible scenario in which miracles can be used as evidence against Christianity is if it's not true. So unless Christianity is true, miracle claims in the Bible are evidence that it's not true. Shortening this a bit, unless Christianity is true, it's not true. That's a pretty trivial claim for atheists to be making concerning miracles. I'm done.
I'm not sure I got your point there.
Well, I would like
Tracie?
to say, first of all, Christianity is not a claim. It's a huge set of a lot of claims. And so it is possible that, quote, Christianity can be true and false because there's a number of claims that are wrapped up under that label Christianity.
But one of the things that's claimed by Christians is that the entire system, the whole Christian worldview, is true as a unit.
Okay, but that could be.
Well, wait a minute.
That could be wrong.
There are some people who self-label Christian who will tell you that parts of the Bible they simply reject and they think that that's just error and blah blah blah. So I don't see Christianity as like a uniform thing, and I don't see all Christians agreeing that all claims that are tied to a Christian label are correct.
Well, one of the things that you'll have to do is you'll have to deal with the version of Christianity that I adhere to. I adhere to normal, biblical, orthodox, historical Christianity.
There's no normal. I've talked to too many people who think that their version of Christianity is normal, and it is. I've never talked to two Christians who believe the same thing. Never.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you are asking like whether something is a disproof of Christianity. When we talked to you last time, the only point that we really brought up is that we have no reason to accept the stuff as true, to accept Christianity as true. That was the point that Lynnea was making when she said she went back in time and you have no proof that she didn't.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's on equal footing. There's there's billions of possible claims that you could be making about the origin of the universe. You've chosen to settle on a particular one, and not just Christianity, but as Tracie is saying, whatever particular franchise of Christianity you happen to follow.
And your personal tweaks to it. So, yeah, I mean, but I guess my point is, I talked to Russell a little bit about this before the show, and I'd like to talk to you about it. When I think of the word true, and I'm assessing a claim as true or false, what I'm doing is I'm saying, does this correspond to reality? Would you?
Right.
Does that seem fair?
I think that's true as far as it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I told you that I've got this mug in my hand, and you look at the screen, you probably can't see a screen, but I'm holding up a mug in my hand. That would be then how you would assess that as true. You would say, well, I can see the mug in your hand. You've said there's a mug in your hand. The claim appears to align with reality, and I would assess that as true. If I'm holding up both hands and they're empty and I'm doing jazz hands and I'm saying I've got a mug in my hand, it would not seem to be a true statement. It would seem to be a false statement. And so,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's basic, and there might be weird things where it doesn't apply or something that I just, we're not talking about right now, but that's what I talk about. When I mean something's true, that's what I'm talking about. And when somebody tells me they believe a thing, what they're telling me is that they have assessed this as true. So they have examined this, and they have come to a conclusion that it does align with reality. My problem with the claim God exists is that I don't know what reality I'm examining.
The one you live in.
Well, I mean, but I can't, what God are we examining here? And how are we examining it?
The one that's described, if you're looking for a definition of God.
No, I'm looking for the God in reality that it corresponds to the God that you're talking about.
The God I'm talking about is the God of the Bible.
Okay, but in reality, the Bible is talking about a God. I'm saying, where is that God so that I can assess these Bible claims, so that I can assess your claim, that I can assess whatever claims about God. I have to see the God to see if it aligns with the claim. Where do I do that?
How do you know that he exists? Is that...
That would be the whole point of the show, yeah.
Well, it depends... How you assess something is true depends on the standard that you're using to assess it. If you're just, for example, if you're a rationalist and you say that I only believe what reason tells me.
Well, Seth,
let him go. Go ahead, Seth. Sorry, Seth.
If you're a rationalist and you say, I only believe what reason tells me, there are certain things that even starting off could not possibly be true in your worldview. So if somebody wants to claim that... spirits exist, but you're a rationalist and you say, well, I can't, I'm not sure I trust my sense perception. The one thing I know is that reason is absolutely true.
We never said that.
Well, I guess he's just saying somebody could.
No, there's a difference between judging something as absolutely definitely true and choosing to believe something.
Okay.
I mean, spirits could exist. All we're saying, and the rationalist point of view, as you put it, doesn't rule out the possibility that there are spirits. It just says, "Give me a reason, or I'm not ready to assume that it's true."
Yeah, or let's just say, here's an example. Let's say somebody tells me they can talk to spirits. They talk to the dead. All right, they're telling me they can talk to the spirits of the dead, and I tell them I can't assess that claim. Because I can't talk to the spirits of the dead, and I can't see the spirits of the dead, and I don't even know how to get in touch with them to check with them to see if they're talking to you, right? So I don't have any means of assessing that claim, so I can't call it true because there is no hand with a mug that I can look at and say, oh yeah, this is what you're talking about, and it looks like it's true. It doesn't. It corresponds.
Right. So you say, well, I can't see those spirits, and I can't assess them as whether they're true. Well, you're revealing what some of the presuppositions of your worldview are. You're saying I can't see it, so it can't be true.
No,
well,
what I'm saying is there's got to be something there for me to compare to the claim. There's got to be some reality for me to compare to the claim in order to say, oh, the claim matches reality. And if there aren't any spirits that can be examined, right, if there are no spirits to examine, I'm open to examining them, but I don't see how I can. I can't access these spirits. So how do I make a judgment of true on a claim that she's talking to them? And even if she
if that's your standard by which you're going to judge something as true, I don't think you can judge anything.
Seth,
any
wait
statement
a
at all
minute,
as
wait a
true or
minute,
false
Seth.
either, because you said you can't see it. You can't see the laws of logic either.
You can. I can't. We talked about this earlier. Not me and you, but me and Russell. Okay. Here's an iPad, right? Is this iPad open? Oh, you can't see it. Okay, I'm showing a little iPad mini, and I've got it wide open on the screen. And I'm asking the people, is this thing open? And I would say that most people would say, yes, it's open. They're looking at this thing open, right?
Right.
Now, I'm putting that away. Now, in the absence of anything that opens or closes, can you demonstrate to me an open?
You might have to rephrase the question. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Can you show me an open?
Can I tell you an open?
No, can you show me an open? Can you demonstrate an open without demonstrating a thing that opens?
Well, open is just the way you're using it's an adjective. You don't have a noun to apply it to.
Right, but is there such thing as open? There is such a thing as open, but I cannot show you an open because it applies to whatever you're applying it to, right?
Right, so you're saying you can't, if you can't see it, it's not true. Again, you
can't
see the law.
No. I'm saying open is an
that.
attribute, right? Open is an attribute of things that open and close.
Right.
Open does exist as an attribute, but I can't show you an open, right?
Mm-hmm.
The laws of logic work like that, okay? They apply to stuff as attributes, presumably of everything or nothing or whatever you want to put at their disposal. The laws of logic are the attributes of all things, right?
Okay. How would you go about proving that statement?
By picking up things and saying, this iPad is an iPad, not a coffee mug. It is not an iPad, right? So I'm demonstrating how that works. I'm telling somebody it is what it is, it's not what it's not, and it either is or it isn't, right?
Right, and you're using, and I don't have a problem with using reason. I think it just has to be put in the correct light. But I asked you, how do you prove the laws of logic?
Seth,
well, you just restated them.
I want to get back to something you said a minute ago. You keep talking about what kind of standards you have, you should have for assessing things as true. Have you got any? Do
I have any standards?
Do you have standards, or do you just believe what you want to believe?
I do my best to only believe what's true. The standards.
Okay, and what are your standards for assessing things as true?
One of the things, I do adhere to the laws of logic. One of the things that I also adhere to is I adhere to everything that the Bible says. Okay,
so you have some standards that I just don't accept. How are we going to get around that?
Well, going back to what Tracie was just saying, one of the problems I have with atheist worldviews is at least the ones that I've encountered, what they end up doing is they slit their own throat. When they try to argue against Christianity, they end up arguing in such a way that you might say that they cut off the branch that they're sitting on. She said, well, you can't see spirits, so how do I know that they're true? You know, you can't see, well, again, I pointed out, you can't see the laws of logic. She said, well, they're attributes. And I asked, okay, well, how do you know that? How do you know using just your own mind?
I gave you a demonstration. I can demonstrate them the same way I can demonstrate open and closed, right?
Okay, so you justify the laws of logic empirically then?
They apply to what is and what is not. I don't know.
So they apply to everything.
That's the idea.
Look,
okay,
Seth,
I agree that that's true.
Seth,
I think I can prove that that's true.
Do you think you need to justify your belief that everything in the Bible is true? Do you feel any need to do that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how do you justify it?
Going back to something, and I believe I said this the last time I called in and talked with you, Russell. Essentially, now, this goes back to something that Lynnea said. If you want to, when it comes to worldviews and justification for truth,
this is beside the point. How do you justify that everything in the Bible is true? Because you just said you start from that point. So do you or don't you think that it needs to be justified?
Well, do you think the laws of logic need to be justified?
Not necessarily.
Why not? Isn't that circular? Isn't that authoritarian?
Do you think the laws of logic are true?
Yes, I do.
Then we agree. So what's the point of arguing this out?
No. We don't agree because we don't agree on the nature of the laws of logic.
We don't agree that the laws of logic are true?
No, we agree that they're true, but we don't agree on the nature of the laws of logic.
So what's the point of arguing about them? Do you think that there are some things that don't require justification? Do you have axioms?
Well, I wouldn't call them axioms in like the sense of the geometrical axioms. I think there are principles that are necessary to interpret the universe. I think it'd be necessary to assume the validity of the laws of logic everywhere at all times, assume the validity, generally speaking, of your own sense perception and things of that nature.
Then we agree about that. Now, how do we get from that to the assumption that God exists?
The way I would do it is you guys say that you agree, you adhere to the laws of logic, but you continue to say that you believe in a universe, which I don't think, you say you live in a certain kind of universe, and in the universe you are describing, I don't think the laws of logic could exist.
Okay, I don't agree.
When did I describe a universe?
Well, you said that, I asked you for a justification of the laws of logic. You said, well, you justify them empirically.
They apply to everything I've ever known. That's the best I can do. I mean, I don't know of any exceptions.
Do you know that they apply to everything, though?
I don't know that. It seems intuitively correct. I don't know how it would be tested, but at the same time, they do apply to everything I have ever experienced and everything I think anybody has ever presented, any concepts. I mean, there's nothing that I know of that they don't apply to, which does not mean that that's universal outside of, that there could be things we don't know that somehow, I don't know how it would work otherwise, but if there were some way that it could, then there would be some way that it could. What I'm saying, though, is that in the universe I live in, every single thing I've ever encountered, it demonstrates the laws of logic. And that is as much as I say about it. So I'm curious about this universe that I'm describing that violates something or that is inconsistent in some way. Like, what is the inconsistency in my universe?
Well, I might use an analogy. If you were standing on a diving board and looking out...
Okay, we don't have time to start another analogy. I said I'd hold you to 10 minutes.
Okay,
and,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Well, thank you for the discussion. Is it cool if I call back next week?
If there's a different idea.
There's still going to be the same time
or
limit.
continue the idea. I don't know. I can't really...